Okay, so the next part we're going to do is fitting of the front angle struts, and we've got them laid out here. So you'll require the square drive and 100mm screws to fit the canopy base to the garden. Now it's quite important you get the orientation of your struts correct, so what we've done is we've laid them out again, remembering the right hand side of the garden and the left hand side of the garden when you're looking towards the front of it, or the main doors that will lift up. Now on each of the struts we've labelled an R for right, an M for the middle, and an L for the left. And they are written on the top end of the struts. So you can start at either end, it doesn't matter what end you want to start with. But what you want to do is get your strut, and you do need to orientate it correctly. So you'll notice on this particular end strut, there's a rather large bracket. You also have a side door latch, which faces to the outside, and we have a couple of brackets, top and bottom, that will be on the inside of the garden. So to orientate this correctly, you want to sit the larger bracket up towards the top. And in this video we've done an update on this particular video, so you notice a couple of changes just so I'm able to show you what those updates are. And it's fitting of the front angle struts, and it's the first set of screws that we're going to put in. So to do the job, we've supplied you with a 8mm ring spanner, and the screws that you're going to use that are in the bag for this particular stage are a 1" or 25mm Tech screw, and we're going to fit those into the corner brackets of each front angle strut. Okay, so once you've got the strut in place, you'll notice in the brackets, or you should align up with 2 pre-drilled holes, both at the bottom and up at the top. Once they're aligned, you want to get your ring spanner and your first Tech screw and fit either the front or the back one, it doesn't matter, into the bracket. Now I do find just putting a bit of pressure on top of the ring spanner itself, and as you get part way down you may notice that the ring spanner starts to get impacted by the other screw that we've already mounted for you there. That's no problem. If you turn your ring spanner around, you can actually wind that down. Now that doesn't always happen, but it's just another trick of the trade that may help you out. This one's actually going in pretty good, so we can use that probably most of the way. Like so, and then just make sure it's nice and snug. Like that. Once you've done one in the bottom, you want to go and do one of them in the top bracket. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're doing the top hole, the top hole or the bottom hole. This just helps get the actual strut in line. A little bit of pressure on the back of the ring spanner helps that go in. Remember, these holes are pre-drilled for you. And again, you may find you need to turn the ring spanner around to wind that in. Once you've got one in the top and the bottom, you simply now want to get your other Tech screws in the bag and fit the second one into each of the brackets, and I'll go through and do that now. Okay, we'll go through and put the top one in. Just till it's nice and firm. Don't over tighten, but just make sure it is tweaked up. And that is the fitting of the Tech screws into the corner or angle brackets, like so. Once that's in place, what you'll then need to fit is a 100mm square drive, and that's going to go down through the bottom of the support strut. So it's quite important at this time, so you can still actually, you can feed that screw in, but you can manipulate this strut a little bit. So it's important that this front edge is as flush as it can be, and also the outer edge is as flush as it can be. So I can rotate that a little bit in my hand, and the holes are pre-drilled, so they should line up. And the screw goes in. Okay, so the next part we're going to fit now is the Tech screws. So we need initially 5 of them for this end of the garden, and supplied in the kit as well is an 8mm ring spanner for you to put these in. So first of all, at the top of the garden, or the top of the strut, there are some pre-drilled holes for these to go into, and I suggest just initially starting them off by hand, and you can manipulate the bracket a little bit to line that up if it needs be, and wind those screws in. Oh. So there's going to be 2 that go in the bottom of that bracket. And then you'll also see up in the middle another hole for the 3rd one. Now that one can be a little bit hard to get in, and if you just start it off, I do tend to find it a bit easier just pushing on the outside of the ring spanner. And screwing that off. So at the top here you should have 3 screws, Tech screws, put in there, and the other 2 are going to be for the bottom here. So again, they just need to be fed into the pre-drilled holes. Like so. And that's the Tech screws completed. So what you'll need for the next part is a 100mm square drive, and just around the back of the garden here in the vertical support you'll see a pre-drilled hole, and that screw is going to run through that hole on an angle like so. You put that screw in there, and the last screw you'll need for the front is a 75mm square drive, and that's going to go in the pre-drilled hole on the front of the garden here. Like so. Now, I know you're probably thinking that there's a heck of a lot of screws in here to hold this, and there is, there's no doubt about that. But there is a very good reason for it, especially for those who purchase a garden with the gas struts. They are incredibly powerful, and they actually mount off these support struts that we are fitting to the garden now, and it's just to ensure that they remain nicely locked into place as you operate your main doors. So that is the one outer edge, or one outside support strut fitted to the garden, and now we'll do exactly the same to the other end. Right, and once that top screw is fitted there, that is your left and right angle struts fitted to the garden. So we just have the middle one to go, which we'll run through now. So with regards to the middle strut, again, just remember it is labelled with a M on it. And that M is to go to the top. And you'll see there are a lot of pre-drilled holes along here for the hinges of the doors, etc. So just important to work out where the middle of your garden is, and to sit that support strut on and line up the holes with the right angle brackets here, both at the top and the bottom. And then what you'll need is the same screws you used on the other ones, and again I recommend just putting a screw, just one screw in each bracket to start with, and that'll just allow you to manipulate the canopy a little bit, just to line those holes up if you need to. So here I can see I just need to pull down a little bit. And now you've got a screw into each bracket. Once you've done that, you can go and fit the other screws into each side. Right, once you've done that, three more screws to go. So in the base, the same as the other two struts we fitted, you need a 100mm square drive, and that's pre-drilled for you. You want to fit that. And this other one's a tad tricky. So on the inside of the garden here, I think we'll get a close-up. There's a hole in the back which runs through using a 100mm square drive. So again, fitting your 100mm screw, that's going to go and again the last screw that you fit is the 75mm square drive into the front. And now you have your support struts fitted to the front of your garden. Ready for the next step?